Wow. I mean, she's got little fabulous skeletons in her closet.
My gut feeling, as much as I want to love Yolanda and be her best friend, my gut says, run for the f***ing hills, lady. She scares the shit out of me because I think she's more manipulative than anybody. There's something false going on, and I don't know why, but something is not being honest with Yolanda.
Hello, I just wanted to jump right in before the video starts and say hi. I'm Harper. I'm an indie author trying to get my indie publishing off the ground through my YouTube channel. I don't have any readers at all under this new pseudonym, except for the past few days. I cannot thank my first buyers and readers enough. I am honestly floored that anyone cared to check the books out at all. Thank you so much for trusting me and trying out my work and giving me a chance. I really hope you liked it, or I hope you're enjoying it currently, and I do hope to bring you more stories very soon. All of the books I'm putting out currently were written years ago, so if they're coming out rapidly, that's why. They were already written years ago. The Aftersound series was written for the audience on my old channel from 2020 to 2023, and fortunately they really enjoyed the books and encouraged me to write the full series and supported me throughout that process on Wattpad, and the stories ended up with well over 1.5 million reads on Wattpad, the entire series. The first set of books that are about Rafi's original POV, which would be All That Remains and Beyond All Measure, the book that's coming out next, that alone got like 1 million reads by itself. And then Roman's POV, which is the second set of books, Highwire and Freefall, they got about 500,000 reads on Wattpad. But the stories had to be reworked and also repackaged for the purposes of professional publishing with my permanent pseudonym, which is under Harper Wren. There is a whole other half to Rafi's POV coming very soon. It'll carry on the complications of that unconventional love triangle and how this toxic abusive relationship between Rafi and Roman progresses. So if you want to know the full story, it's coming very soon, and there's a lot more that goes down in that second half that just couldn't fit in the first half because the first half was focused on their reunion after 2 years. Very quickly, just to give you an idea of why all these books are going to be coming out in such short order, I will also be publishing my first ever historical romance that I started writing at the age of 19 and I finished around 2015. And then I went through and kind of gutted it and updated it in 2019. It's called The Northman, and it will be published in the next 2 months just to get it out there. So lastly, I'm currently writing a book called Scions that I am deeply in love with, and it will be the first in a new series that I am so excited about. I'm very excited to share. It's another romantic thriller with like domestic noir vibes, but it's also set on the road in multiple countries with a female student journalist who infiltrates the world of the ultra wealthy to solve a murder case that's close to her heart, and I'm hoping to have it done by the end of the year and literally published by December. So if you listen to this book segment, you are amazing. Thank you so much for your support, and now on to the video.
You can have one night of being bad, right?
Yeah, I was actually really good this week.
Yeah, and then you got to get back on your diet though.
I called the theater and I told them you weren't feeling well.
I have to go.
No, lay down.
Go with me.
We're staying in here until you feel better.
Because you know, in Paris and Milan, they like to keep the girls just a tad on the skinny side. Can I just look at these? Great. She's a natural. She was bred for this.
There you go.
Yolanda Hadid is one of the most notorious helicopter/almond moms Hollywood has ever seen. In fact, her behavior is what inspired the term almond mom, which I was so shocked by.
Hi, Mommy, how are you?
I'm okay. I just woke up. How are you?
I'm feeling really weak. I have like half an almond.
I have a couple of almonds. Chew them really well.
She's known mostly as being the mother of the famous models Gigi and Bella Hadid, and for being married to the Grammy Award-winning composer David Foster. She was also a model herself in the past, and was also previously married to that super creepy real estate developer Mohamed Hadid. When I first made this video, it was back in 2021 on the old channel that I built and it's now defunct. So I thought I would remake the video on this channel due to the resurgence of Bella Hadid's mysterious illness that apparently left her fighting for her life recently. I think what's going on in the Hadid family is very strange and has been for many years. And I think it's really tragic to me that Bella, this young woman, this successful, and at the height of her career, often spends long spells hospitalized and crying online due to a rather mysterious and incurable chronic illness. And don't get me wrong, I don't doubt that Bella Hadid is ill on some level, but I honestly think she's either being misdiagnosed due to the input of her mother, or that many of the symptoms she's experiencing today are exacerbated by her mother's obsessive intervention in her healthcare, up to and including admittedly commandeering her treatment when she was younger and prescribing her holistic alternative medicine under her own auspices and not that of a licensed professional. It scares me, and I fear for Bella's life as she is becoming more and more underweight like Ariana Grande, and I do feel what she's endured thus far has done irreparable damage to her system.
More fans and individuals have expressed real concern about Bella's appearance today. Recent photographs of Bella in Milan sparked enormous discussions online, with many people commenting on how noticeably thin and frail she appeared. But the truth is, I hadn't really paid much attention to what she looked like or what she was doing, and when these photos came out, I genuinely felt really worried for her. Like, I felt really bad. Like, this does not look like a healthy individual.
Here, let me explain. How do I go about this gently? I think Yolanda Hadid might have made her children sick, or even sicker if they were organically sick. And I believe she helped to misdiagnose them with her own so-called chronic illness, and then forced treatments upon them that are frowned upon by professionals that adhere to conventional medicine and in particular standards of care. This video is comprised entirely of my opinion, which is informed by the available facts, and yes, the public is entitled to speak on this subject because Yolanda Hadid is a public figure, but more than that, she very publicly documented her health struggles on reality TV, on her large social media platform, and in a memoir about the invisible illness she's suffering from, which she profited from, and all of which I feel amounted to her spreading a great deal of medical misinformation on top of the damage I believe she's done to her own family, up to and including projecting her illness onto her children and some other people in her orbit, and even destroying her marriage with David Foster, which probably wouldn't have lasted anyway, let's be honest. He's been married like 5 times. For that reason, Yolanda Hadid's health has become, unfortunately, a matter of public discourse. I'm also discussing this because I believe her behavior could possibly amount to an insidious case of medical child abuse that took place in a very prominent Hollywood family that the public mostly still turns a blind eye to and accepts everything she's saying, despite the glaring red flags and disconcerting attention-seeking behavior surrounding this family's chronic illnesses. With that being said, I am not a doctor or a licensed medical professional, so everything I say is my own personal conclusion, informed by the available facts, my research, Yolanda's own words, her admissions and behaviors, notably from her copious social media posts, her memoir, and her interviews referencing the illness.
Oh my God, the light went off in my head and I have a problem.
I'm talking about it with people, and they're coming up to me and they're questioning it, and there's people in Malibu, and you know, it's kind of a small town, and I just go, oh, this is so awkward, help me, I don't know what, you know what I mean? True Munchausen syndrome has been renamed factitious disorder, wherein those affected feign disease, illness, or psychological trauma to draw attention, sympathy, or reassurance to themselves. It's something that people could create if they might not be sick, but they make themselves sick. Somebody came to me with a word that I didn't know what it meant and thought that this is what you had, called Munchausen's. It's when somebody says they're sick, but they're not.
Okay, because I can't jog anymore.
I know. Come on. Chuck.
Oh, you're scared.
Keep it going, girl. There we go. Oh, that was great, wasn't it?
No, it was
Come on. That's why, you know, I'm going to be a good influence in your life.
I, and many others down through the years, by the way, staunchly believe Yolanda Hadid might be suffering from something called Munchausen syndrome, or factitious disorder, which she imposed on herself at first, and then I believe she later began perpetrating it on her children before they became adults, which is a condition known as Munchausen's by proxy, or factitious disorder imposed on another. I would not be the first person to suspect that she has this disorder, as her co-stars, they also suspected as much.
What's going on with Anwar and Bella's Lyme disease?
Both Bella and Anwar, you know, have Lyme disease.
What are they?
I'd never heard that, so.
What does Mohamed say?
No.
Mohamed said no?
Well, he just said no, that she's the only one that has it. He said he didn't think that they had it, but
He doesn't think they have it?
Who the hell told Yolanda that somebody said that about her kids not having it? Who said it?
Yeah, how did it get back to Yolanda?
who told Yolanda?
that-
That's
Because you're
it.
being blamed for that.
Somebody
I
said
am.
something.
As well as many online commenters and even Reddit forums that discussed many inconsistencies in Yolanda's Lyme disease timelines and wild claims, because they do get kind of wild. I was shocked to find these forums that sort of felt the same way I did. So the official definitions, according to the Cleveland Clinic, are: factitious disorder happens when you create symptoms of an illness to receive care for yourself or someone else. These mental health conditions are harmful and can be life-threatening, especially if you fake symptoms or make yourself ill in some way. And factitious disorder imposed on another, formerly called Munchausen syndrome by proxy, is a mental health condition where you pretend that someone within your care is sick when they aren't. It's a type of abuse. So even though this condition is seen as a mental disorder, which it clearly is, once you cross the line into making someone else sick, especially a child, it becomes abuse and it is prosecutable under the law, even though it's extremely difficult to prosecute. It's important to note that Munchausen's by proxy is typically perpetrated on a child by the caretaker, typically the mother, and in that case, it is treated as a crime. It's medical child abuse. It crosses the line into the intentional and deliberate infliction of harm on a defenseless child, and thus is treated as a crime, which it rightly is. There are many key factors that put you at a higher risk, I should say, of developing Munchausen syndrome or Munchausen's by proxy, and I would like you to keep them in mind as you watch this video. I will try to keep it as short as possible because there's so much to touch on. Factor number one is trauma. This strange condition is thought to be a maladaptive response to suffering past trauma, like so many things we deal with as adults. Factor number two, frequent illnesses that affected you or a loved one. Sort of sets that example for you and gets you conditioned in a way to always be sick or to want to be sick. Factor number three, a lot of time spent in a healthcare facility due to either illness, career training, or volunteering. So that can mean someone who has been hospitalized for long periods of time or someone who has been in the healthcare field. And factor number four, abuse or neglect or general family dysfunction. And then here are some of the key factors that I just highlighted, because there are many key factors, but these are some I highlighted that I noticed aligned with Yolanda's behavior, and these are common in a person suffering from the condition. Number one, desiring sympathy and special attention. Factor number two, a desire or eagerness to undergo painful medical testing or procedures. Factor number three, visiting many hospitals, clinics, and providers' offices, even in different cities from where you live, even in different countries. It's kind of like doctor shopping. Shopping doctors until you find the diagnosis you want is what she definitely did. And an example of a Munchausen's mom finding doctors willing to give them anything they want would be the mother in the case of Maya Kowalski, I believe her name is pronounced. It's a tragic case, but the facts of it were very distorted by the Netflix documentary called Take Care of Maya. The facts were not shown thoroughly, and the truth of the matter was distorted to favor Maya and her family.
But just because your child doesn't have a condition doesn't mean you can't get a doctor to give you a diagnosis if you're persistent enough. And in Beata's case, the fourth time was the charm. After her self-described networking in the CRPS community, on September 23, 2015, she and Maya found themselves in the offices of Dr. Anthony Kirkpatrick, a self-anointed CRPS expert with no hospital admitting privileges and no board certification, who ran an all-cash pain clinic in Tampa. Here he is in Take Care of Maya.
When I first saw the Kowalskis in September 2015, it was obvious what the problem was with Maya. It was clear and simple CRPS, complex regional pain syndrome.
And his prescription?
And we know what the best therapy is for it. It's called ketamine.
Ketamine. Unheard of, unfathomable amounts of ketamine.
Factor number 4, having very extensive and elaborate medical records and medical history. Yolanda has multiple binders full of her medical records, and this is just not normal. Creating a new personal identity. So for me, this means like trying to be seen as a warrior or a survivor or a victim of such a harrowing experience. For instance, Yolanda gets some sort of gratification out of constantly reminding the public that she's been through hell by using the most intense and evocative language she can to describe her suffering, like she's being crucified every day because she wants to be seen as a brave fighter. My sister has had breast cancer and she never spoke in this language. I've known people with pretty grave illnesses, like my father had metastasized cancer, and even he was not articulating his pain in the way she does. So in her book, she says, "I can't begin to describe the darkness, the pain, and the hell I have lived through every day. For some time, it didn't even feel like living at all. This disease brought me to my knees. Many nights I wished to die and prayed I would just be free of the pain."
It seems strange to me that she's like, happy selfie, sick selfie. Happy selfie, sick selfie. And also, like, I'm trying to follow her on Instagram, but like, I don't like seeing the whole needle in the arm thing all the time. I'm smelling misdiagnosis.
Obviously, every moment of illness is not always doom and gloom, but the way she describes her illness versus how frequently she was posing for cutesy photo ops while being treated with vitamins and antibiotics and whatnot brings the authenticity of that illness into question. And this is Yolanda during said illness, posting frequently on social media with tons of self-pitying, self-congratulatory captions, mind you, while claiming to have brain fog so severe that she could no longer drive, watch TV, read or write or recall words to speak. She was also, at the same time she claimed to be unable to drive, caught driving while filming scenes of the show Beverly Hills Housewives. So there's been a lot of inconsistencies in her story. These people who suffer from that condition, whether or not Yolanda does or not, are doing it for the attention and sympathy and praise, and sometimes the financial reward to be found in having a chronic illness through grants and donations. And I believe when it comes to them inflicting it on their children, there's a more sinister element to it where, for whatever reason, they crave this attention or personal gain at the expense of the child. I think envy of the child and a desire to make the child suffer plays a huge role in it, but that's just my personal opinion, and I don't know if that aligns with the official literature on this illness or not. A lot of this illness has to do with secrecy and lying. That's the crux of the entire thing, and it usually involves deceiving an entire network of people, including other family members, the children that you are perpetrating it on themselves, the community providing moral support, and even some medical professionals who haven't exactly caught on to the deception yet. So like SA, for instance, Munchausen's is difficult to prove without evidence, even though it's something that's done in secret and involves pathological deception. Without incontrovertible evidence, it's difficult to diagnose, or in the case of medical child abuse, it's difficult to ever prosecute, despite the red flags being alarmingly evident, especially when you consider that this particular type of child abuse is predicated on a lot of psychological and emotional manipulation, so the child themselves often come to believe their parents' lies about their own supposed illnesses, even when they're not real. They are deeply gaslit, and usually for many years. And these are formative years where they're still trying to figure themselves out. They come to think of themselves as ill and often even begin faking symptoms for the benefit of their caretakers. Like we see in the case of Maya Kowalski, the doctors even said her cough was one of habit and not one of genuine need. And even so, Maya Kowalski to this day still believes she was sick despite her symptoms disappearing and her health improving exponentially after a court-ordered separation from her mother, Beta Kowalski, and also after her mother's tragic suicide. which is just another example, in my opinion, of her mother's mental illness and the fact that she was attention seeking and became addicted to making her daughter ill. And so when that was being taken away from her and when she was being exposed, she unalived herself to get more sympathy and to be the perpetual victim, because now no one's going to question the suicide and hardly anyone's going to dare to question her behavior now that she has committed suicide. There are three major things I would like to highlight in the following information about Yolanda's deeply concerning and seemingly dishonest behavior. Number one, her behavior with regard to her chronic invisible illness is undeniably attention seeking, and that alone brings into question whether or not she is genuinely sick. Number two, she projects her illness onto other members of the family and exhibits many behaviors, especially manipulative language, when confronting anyone who challenges what she says about her illnesses or her children's illnesses.
What did she say?
She said that you had a Munchausen, whatever.
Munchausen.
But who says that? You guys are supposed to be my homies. You're my friends. If somebody says something, did you say, no, this woman has been sick for 4 years? I mean, she's been in bed 9 months. She's fighting for her life.
Just like...
So you never said, I don't think Bella and Anwar have conversations.
It's like,
So what I've gotten from it is that Mohamed said they were healthy.
So that's basically saying they don't have conversations.
I don't know.
I brought you their test, and I want you to take it home and read it. And if you said that, I would love for you to apologize to them, because this will come out. And I wouldn't want this to ruin your relationship with my children. It would break my heart for Bella and Anwar to hear that you put any doubt out there that they're ill or not.
No.
Yeah, take it.
No.
Read it.
No.
Get educated.
Number three, she claims to have had countless grave and debilitating illnesses in her life, the totality of which seems implausible that one person would have experienced and still be alive and thriving today the way she is. I'll list them all in the next chapter. Yolanda Vandenherk was born and raised in Papendrecht, South Holland, to a Christian family. And she also has one brother named Leo. When she was only 7 years old, her father died in a car accident, which left her mother, Ans Vandenherk, to raise those two children alone. The severe trauma of losing her father at 7 years old, I believe, plays a huge role in her possibly developing Munchausen's. Remember, one of the main risk factors is past trauma. Yolanda lost a parent at a young age, but she was old enough for it to be devastating and world-altering. Furthermore, in Yolanda's history, we have another risk factor at play when you hear on her Dr. Oz appearance that when she was a child, she witnessed her mother suffering from chronic invisible illness, where she would often be holed up in her room with the curtains closed for days at a time.
I was born to a mother that was suffering from, invisible chronic disease. She would get severe migraines and be in bed with the curtains closed for 2-3 days at a time.
This no doubt left a lasting impression on Yolanda, and remember, is a risk factor for developing this condition, frequent illnesses that affected you or a loved one. Furthermore, piggybacking off of that last point, Yolanda told Dr. Oz that at different periods in her life, she would go through bouts of severe fatigue. Yolanda also wrote that she became severely ill around the age 13 with the Epstein-Barr virus, which is just mono, and was on bed rest for 6 weeks, which is a very long time. She then said soon after she had appendicitis, for which she was hospitalized. She then claimed to have gotten hepatitis B at the age of 19 from dirty needles when she got acupuncture in Tokyo when she started modeling, I believe. She also claims that prior to getting hepatitis from the acupuncture needles, she already had a weak liver, and she found this out by becoming violently ill after just beer testing on a high school trip, I believe. She also claimed that she broke her back in 3 places while giving birth to her son Anwar and was bedridden for over a year. And just a few years later, according to her book, she claimed doctors discovered a tumor on her thyroid that eventually turned out to be benign. She would also later claim to have metal poisoning and had dental work to remove mercury from her fillings, and claimed that her gut was full of parasites.
And I had a really extreme parasite infection, and that was hell. They were like 2 feet long.
And she wrote in her book, "We see a huge creature about 16 inches long and so wide that it fills the entire circumference of the irrigation tube, moving through in perfect slow motion. I can't believe that big fat monster just came out of my ass." It's highly, highly important to note here that before Yolanda herself became determined to be diagnosed with a chronic illness, 2 people close to her in her life received devastating diagnoses, however you say it. Her mother would be diagnosed with breast cancer and had to have a double mastectomy, which truly scared Yolanda, and in her book she said it made her become very health conscious. But also her best friend Ellie, one of the first friends she said she made in Montecito when their children were little. Can I just say, the Hadid's lives sound so fabulous and rich. They've lived everywhere: Beverly Hills, Montecito, Santa Barbara, Malibu, and the children grew up in mansions across the country because their father was a luxury real estate developer. I am so jealous. Anyway, I digress. So she met Ellie in Montecito and they became close friends, had coffee together every day, were pregnant at the same time, and raised their children together. So sadly, her best friend Ellie will be diagnosed with ALS, which is a horrific disease that is so scary to me, and I'm so sorry for anyone suffering from this or whose loved ones are. But Yolanda Hadid was also scared by Ellie's illness, and she did a Google search on it and was kind of petrified by it and tried to send her to the best doctors on ALS, and they just reaffirmed the diagnosis. So I believe Yolanda's mother and her best friend's diagnoses only compounded Yolanda's pre-existing health anxiety and sent her off the rails into like hypochondria and later factitious disorder when she became determined to be chronically ill herself. And I don't believe it's a coincidence that she would later retroactively diagnose her mother with Lyme disease as well, and even suggested in her book that Ellie's ALS was caused by Lyme disease as well. And not to mention her other friend Paige that she got diagnosed with Lyme disease by one of her Lyme literate doctors. She was handing out Lyme disease diagnoses like they were Wonka's golden tickets. I think some of her wild claims about her own health has a lot to do with this almost strange chronic illness envy once she saw how much attention and sympathy was heaped on the people in her life who were suffering with legitimate, gravely serious illnesses like cancer and ALS.
I'll be starting my morning treatment, and this is just part of my daily routine.
Yolanda's life has become a relentless battle against chronic disease, and she spends her days seeking out relief.
This is my treatment room. It's more a necessity than a luxury at this point. Patrick, my nurse, comes here probably 3-4 days a week and does IV treatments, not just for me, but also for the children. Memory loss, hard to focus. I mean, this is probably too long of a list to go over. And I started with all, the blood tests, the diagnosis of what they found. So these are, the Lyme disease and all the co-infections. I mean, these were all the conventional medicine that I tried. These are all the alternative medicine that I did. And I called it Uncovering the Mystery of Chronic Lyme.
I believe this led her down the road of factitious disorder, which I also believe she began perpetrating on her children by proxy when the attention she garnered for herself wasn't enough or began to wane, especially when it affected her marriage and made her lose her marriage. Now both Bella and Anwar also supposedly suffer from a chronic illness not recognized by the CDC. It all seems very dubious to me. Here's what Anwar said about how his own diagnosis came about in Yolanda's book, which is concerning because it was influenced influenced by Yolanda refusing to take the word no for an answer when her doctor told her her son wasn't seriously ill. Quote, she is tough and never took no for an answer, which is also the reason she eventually got my sister Bella and me properly diagnosed. I struggled with chronic sinus issues, joint pain, and severe fatigue for many years, and because of my mom's journey, she was able to understand and identify that my symptoms were not allergies or growing pains like many doctors told us. So now she has Bella and Anwar disregarding the medical consensus of licensed professionals who told them nothing was gravely wrong with them. She has them believing this sham illness as well. And not only that, she has them willing to take all of these strange holistic alternative medicines and treatments, which can be doing further damage to them. And they might even be being misdiagnosed by Yolanda. They might have some other sort of like autoimmune condition, and she's misdiagnosing them and therefore treating them incorrectly. It's just, I wanted to illustrate that her own children are wrapped up in her own thinking because they were conditioned by her to think this way, to ignore what doctors say and go by what their mother said because their mother refused to take no for an answer about their health. And also, when you think about it, the attention-seeking behavior was also passed down because a lot of Bella's online behavior is also very attention-seeking and sympathy-seeking, regardless of whatever illness she may or may not have. She posts a lot on her stories about being sick, about being chronically sick, how people don't understand chronic illnesses, and constantly posts images of herself crying. She loves whipping out a camera when she's tearing up, and she poses for photos while she's supposedly sobbing, and it's one thing I will never understand. The last thing I want in my face when I'm crying is a fucking camera. Why is the first thing you think about when you're crying snapping a photo to share online, by the way? And she was dragged pretty badly for that back in 2022 when she posted all of these ridiculous photos of her crying at these different angles because she did it under the guise of like speaking out about mental health and being there for others when it was clear she just wanted to post photos of herself crying. It came off as phony, so her message about mental health was sort of overshadowed by the performative photos. If she had to just gave the message, fine, but because she posted like 9 photos of herself crying, people were like, okay, this is weird. So I do have a great deal of sympathy for young Yolanda. We all are just the sum of our life experiences and are deeply impacted by our genetics, the things we experience in childhood, our relationships with our parents, and the examples set for us during our formative years. And it's undeniable that her mother set an example for her of being dramatically, chronically ill and then locking herself up in her room with the curtains drawn for days at a time. To a child, that can seem interesting, or they want to mimic your behavior. So no one is immune to being affected by the environment we grew up in. And if that environment was one of dysfunction or trauma, it sticks with us for the rest of our lives, manifesting in ways we could have never anticipated. And I can speak to that for myself in my own life. While Yolanda was married to David Foster, she was cast in 2 reality TV shows. One was based in the Netherlands, and she said it wasn't about the drama, it was just about successful, I think, Dutch women living in Hollywood, and the other was the infamous Housewives of Beverly Hills. During the show, Yolanda was known for her terse, hypercritical, bossy, type A personality.
And I think that that's the lesson I need to teach Brandi. It's very interesting, girls. A lot of old stuff going on at this table.
Welcome.
It's like, let it go, girls. Life is gonna be really miserable if you can't move on with those things.
Yolanda, darling, nobody's listening to you.
Let's just have a great weekend, happy for each other.
You being overly bossy.
No, I wanted to place it like that.
Underneath? Well, it's gotta go under.
I'll pull it. Why don't you guys hold the bed up? I wasn't raised with people helping me, so I am a do-it-yourselfer. Yeah, I think that's cute, and then I can place the chair right here. Perfect. You know, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. You gotta learn English.
Yeah.
You know, you're in America. They speak English here. English tonight. What are you gonna do tonight when you get home?
Learn English.
Yes. Good job. People walk into this house, they're like, oh my God, this is incredible. I actually drew and built every inch of this house.
Your house is beautiful. I see perfection. Everything is pristine. Oh my gosh, am I in a restaurant?
This is my refrigerator.
That's a refrigerator?
Wow.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, I designed it.
She's clearly a perfectionist. Her fruits and vegetables are color coordinated.
If it's not all lined up and looking pretty, I can't be.
A little OCD.
Completely. Not a little, a lot.
I like that.
Very
Little OCD is
organized.
good.
She is clearly a perfectionist, which I can relate to, and a devout homemaker obsessed with lemons in her state-of-the-art refrigerator, which I can totally relate to as someone obsessed with cooking and homemaking. And she is someone who enjoyed her roles as a mother of 3, wife to a famed musician, and hostess whenever necessary. Although throughout the show, things would take a dark turn for Yolanda.
Kyle, I'm just asking you to drop it. I hold a lot in the vault, honey.
What does that mean? Are you threatening
It means
me?
it. No, not
I don't
at
know
all.
what that
Not
means.
at all.
I have
No,
everything
I
in
have
the
more
vault.
integrity than that. You know, I wanted to ask you, I hear from all the girls in the group that you like have an issue with me. I decided to ask Taylor why she's talking behind my back because I heard from Brandi and from Lisa and from Kyle that she does.
Yolanda, all the ladies had such a great time in Ojai. Why didn't you just cut loose and join them? Too far to climb down from that high horse?
You see, that's the thing, the Dutch thing about me. Probably people think that I'm very cold or very arrogant, and I'm actually not. I'm a softie. None of them really made an effort to get to know me or reach out to me to make friends with me. So the experience was, well, you did actually, yes.
I actually did. I called you, asked you to dinner. I called you on the phone when you weren't feeling well. I called you.
That was at
texted
the
you.
end, sweetheart. That was after we
But
filmed
did you
the
ever
season.
call anybody?
Sweetheart, I came into your group. You didn't come into my group.
No, but I was making an effort with you.
You made an effort.
Many of the women had tiffs with her for various reasons, and many of them were quite legit. And most came away with the impression that she was insufferable, judgmental, dishonest, and manipulative. She comes off as this nice, no-nonsense, straightforward lady, but there's something underlying that seems not right about her. I believe it was Lisa Rinna who summed it up best when she said,
My gut feeling, as much as I want to love Yolanda and be her best friend, my gut says, run for the f***ing hills, lady. She scares the shit out of me because I think she's more manipulative than anybody. There's something false going on, and I don't know why, but something is not being honest with Yolanda.
And there was no love lost between Yolanda and her former co-stars. She hates them as well, and she would go on to say that she never really felt any of the friendships she formed on that show were real. She was also naturally deeply offended by her co-stars gossiping about her illness behind her back when she wasn't available on the show, and when they suggested that she had Munchausen syndrome. If you watch the show, Yolanda's adoration for her children could not be denied. However, it quickly became apparent that she subscribed to some rather odd philosophies about parenting, up to and including trying to discourage her daughter from playing sports for homophobic reasons, questioning whether Gigi was a lesbian because she liked to wear a Lakers jersey every day.
I miss club volleyball.
Volleyball is a very masculine sport. Modeling is a very feminine thing.
I know.
You know, you have to make a choice.
Modeling is my job. Volleyball is my sport. In 3rd grade, remember I used to wear basketball clothes to school every day?
Yes, a Laker jersey, right?
Yeah, to school every day.
I thought that my daughter was lesbian.
I think we all had like a tomboy phase when we were younger. I did myself before I became obsessed with clothes and makeup and jewelry. She was also micromanaging her kids' lives so much that she controlled what they ate and how much they ate because she wanted them to remain thin so they could follow in her footsteps and enter the modeling world.
Gigi has been modeling since she's maybe 3 years old. I went, to Ford, New York Models, Elite. I mean, I visited all the big modeling agencies, and she walked out with a contract from every agency in New York. Gigi's got it.
I'm so excited for the food. Pretty much all the food that we're eating is like a heart attack in a meal. It's like, but it's gonna be so good.
It's good. You're gonna have one night of being bad, right?
Yeah, I was actually really good this week.
Yeah, and then you gotta get back on your diet, though. Because in Paris and Milan, they like the girls just a tad on the skinny side. This is the hardest from being on our diet.
I have to have a bite for good luck, though. Mommy, you're gonna have a little bite with me.
But not too big. No, that's too big. The half of that. Gigi's in charge of her own diet. But to be on your best weight, you gotta make the right choices. This is you.
so yummy.
You know what, Gigi? I think that's it. I'll do this. How is it? I can't believe you just did that.
And to me, that's just another form of narcissism, a narcissistic parent, where they see children not as their own autonomous selves.
All I see is just a much, much better version of me,
but as extensions of themselves. And it's very apparent when you see that Yolanda not only projected her illness onto her children, she also projected her career path and her favorite hobbies, like horseback riding. That became Bella's favorite hobby. And then also she put them all into modeling and made them all marry musicians like she did because she thought it was her ticket. It made her famous with the Housewives of Beverly Hills when she married David Foster. So it's like she was living very undeniably through her children vicariously, and Munchausen's is a form of narcissistic parenting. So she micromanaged her kids' lives, controlled what they ate and how much they ate because she wanted them to remain thin so they could follow in her footsteps and enter the modeling world. She also forced her eating habits onto them, by the way, which is so horrifying. This also included discouraging Gigi from playing sports and body washing her children.
You're doing such a good job, Gigi. Aren't you proud? See, it's hard to exercise 6 days a week, and it's hard to not eat any sugar, and it's hard to have to eat salad every day, but now you see how it pays off. These girls, they train 4 hours a day after school, so their bodies are big and bulky, and I mean, they eat like men. I wanted her to develop as a woman
because she wanted their bodies to look a certain way. Her strange parenting was also called into question during a scene where she had Anwar served his breakfast, and it consisted of what looked like a few sliced up strawberries and a baggie full of pills that Yolanda hand selected for him. It was also called into question again when she accompanied Gigi to a photo shoot, was trying to micromanage it, and was trying to boss around the makeup artist because she felt Gigi's eyes were looking too, I believe she said, Asian or Chinese.
Would you round Gigi's eyes a little bit on the sides because of her high eyebrows? Because it makes her look Chinese really quick.
And we all know how her racist disregard for Asian-looking eyes certainly rubbed off on Gigi. There are more instances like this and other criticisms she faced because of her parenting, including people suggesting that she treated Gigi like her favorite and disregarded Bella.
Black Swan and the White Swan, and obviously as sisters that close in age, there's always going to be competition.
Being in quarantine with my family, I felt like I was the 16-year-old middle child again. Any middle children know how it feels to be a middle child. Everybody hates me, no one likes me, I'm the black sheep.
All I see is just a much, much better version of me.
And Gigi just had that, you know, that thing. She would stare me right into the camera. I couldn't take a bad picture of her. Bella was always so playful, and so I kind of always knew that was Gigi's destiny. But
to lend credence to this theory about the favorite child, Gigi was obviously the firstborn, so they are gonna have a special bond. But she also named Gigi after her own nickname, Gigi, because Gigi's real name is like Jelena or something like that. And she would also go on to say that Gigi's daughter, Kai, reminded her of her mother, almost like she was reborn. And funny enough, I was looking at images of Yolanda's mother when she was younger, and one of the pictures looked exactly like Gigi, so I see why she sort of sees Gigi in her mother, but that just leaves Bella off over here feeling disregarded. So Bella would eventually admit that constantly being compared unfavorably to Gigi deeply affected her self-esteem. In Vogue in 2022, she said, "I was the uglier sister. I was the brunette. I wasn't as cool as Gigi, not as outgoing. That's really what people said about me. And unfortunately, when you get told things so many times, you just believe it. I always ask myself, how did a girl with incredible insecurities, anxiety, depression, body image issues, eating issues, who hated to be touched, who has intense social anxiety, what was I doing getting into this business?" And that's a good question. She should have followed her dreams of becoming a photographer, even if she couldn't do the horseback riding anymore because of pain in her back, stayed out of the modeling world, because she seems really unhappy as a person beyond her illness, and it's probably because she's unhappy. She went into that world because Gigi went into that world, and because their mother insisted that Gigi go into it. So it's like she was trying to live up to Gigi and has a career that she doesn't enjoy now. This feeling she has of being inadequate would certainly be a major contributing factor, along with Yolanda's encouragement in my opinion, as to why Bella Hadid would go alter her face so drastically under the knife, as compared to Gigi, by the way, who is thought to be all natural, especially where her face is concerned. Bella is known for her unique look and features, but sadly, the look is entirely artificial. She was obviously a very pretty girl before the surgeries, with a softer, more classical beauty, but the foxy, striking look she has now is anything but organic, and it's sad because, in my opinion, she was prettier before the surgeries. Bella admitted that at the mere age of 14, which to me is horrifying, she had a nose job at 14. In that same 2022 Vogue article, she would confess that she regretted this surgery and wished she'd kept the nose of her ancestors. But I think this speaks to the depths of her insecurities as a young girl, which many of us can relate to, obviously. It also speaks to how women are pressured to conform to beauty norms lest they be ruthlessly mocked by the public. Being a public figure forced by your mother into an industry that operates solely on physical beauty and objectification makes coping with your natural born looks that much harder. And there happens to be a robust cosmetic and plastic surgery industry just waiting in the wings to woo you with promises of a solution and blueprints to make you look impeccable. Those are difficult to resist. Bella's infamous nose job is what I believe was the first of many surgeries and cosmetic tweaks, all of which she refuses to own up to except for the nose job, and I believe she did all of them with her mom's consent. Some people have even speculated that it was Yolanda who pressured Bella to change her face to be more like Carla Bruni, and I must say the resemblance is uncanny. This is disturbing because if it were the case that she encouraged Bella to alter her looks so drastically, then she was aging her beyond her years. And it's fitting when you think of it that way because, according to Vogue, Yolanda views Bella as having come out of the wound already holding a cigarette and a martini. She views her as a sort of archetype of classical Hollywood beauty. She views her as someone she is literally not. Does Bella even smoke cigarettes? Does she even drink martinis? And I mean, if she would permit her daughter to get a nose job at 14 years old, there is no telling what else she may have encouraged her daughters to do or not do, like, you know, eating, to help them achieve a certain physical appearance for success. It's such a toxic, unhealthy form of parenting to force your daughter to adhere to harmful beauty imperatives like extreme thinness and even helping one to undergo the knife as a minor for surgeries they will later regret. That is her legacy as a parent, helping her daughter get a surgery she now regrets. Even if the nose job was totally 14-year-old Bella's idea, which I doubt it was coming from a place of deep, childish insecurity, and that's where a better parent would have exercised better parental judgment. By consenting, Yolanda was reinforcing the lie that there was something wrong with 14-year-old Bella's natural looks when there wasn't. That to me indicates Yolanda is not a normal mother and has crossed countless ethical lines in her parenting on camera in full view of the public and has done so without shame or remorse. Therefore, I shudder to think what else she might have done to her children or forced them to do to themselves to live up to her expectations behind closed doors. That plays heavily into what I suspect to be medical child abuse when they were younger and perhaps now still with Bella, but I have no means by which to verify my claims, so they remain pure conjecture based on the available facts that I've stated in this video.